Hey, welcome to Dollar Views. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
We're just two Long Beach State film grads with a lifelong passion for cinema, trying to put our money where our mouths are.
And we decided to make our BAs mean something by giving our 2 cents on the weekly film releases.
Whether it's the cute romantic comedy,
or the latest cult classics,
from the little-known indies and docs,
to the latest Michael Bay masterpiece.
We go over it all, $1 at a time.
I have no idea how to tell this story. I don't even know how to start it. This is the story of my senior year of high school and how it destroyed my life.
Your father and I want to talk to you about something sad. Rachel Kushner has been diagnosed with leukemia.
That sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks quite a bit.
You might be someone who could make Rachel feel better.
I don't need your stupid pity.
I'm not here because I pity you. I'm actually here just 'cause my mom is making me.
It's actually worse.
We finally did it.
Yeah?
We saw the other Sundance flick that we've been wanting to see for, about 2.5 weeks now?
You've been wanting to see. You've been really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, definitely. I saw it. Well, obviously, follow the trades and whatnot, and Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl was the hit of Sundance.
Now, I remember hearing just so much praise for it. And I know, especially for Sundance movies, I don't want to judge the marketing, but just the trailer, for me personally, it really alienated me. Like
Really?
I could just see there was this sort of weird, quirky Wes Anderson-esque kind of
Almost,
just
and it's definitely
tone running through it. And there was it was the girl playing the harp. Yeah, that's what kind of just turned me off for it. And that just seems like a weird mix to do that with cancer.
I don't know.
I mean, cancer's been done in comedy before, and with Funny People and 50-50, and I'm okay with that. But it just seemed weird to see a deadpan version of it that was clearly not being played for laughs at all. But that was my reaction to the trailer.
I just remember seeing the trailer and going, okay, all I knew about this was that there's a black kid, a white kid, and a dying person, aka the title. And then I see the trailer, I'm like, oh, there's a whole nother dimension to this. This is why the film festival loved it, is because it's about filmmaking.
Yeah.
And right away I went, okay, I got to see this. And then lo and behold, the film isn't really about filmmaking. It kind of tricked me.
Well, there's a very big. It's an important part of it. If you,
it definitely is an important part, but it's not what it's about.
This movie has such a hard-on for Criterion. If you're a Criterion aficionado, you're gonna love this movie. This is for you.
And that's why it's not necessarily for me, because I don't.
All right, so anyway, how did this? I know you have. You probably had a very subjective experience for this movie, right?
Not really, though. That's the thing.
No?
Even though it's about a girl with leukemia, and I have a friend who battled that, Luis, I referenced him during the Jurassic World review.
Yep.
It really didn't touch me like that. Even towards the end, when it's getting more emotional and depressing, I kind of, I didn't get teary-eyed or feel weak or anything. Inside Out affected me more so than this did. I don't know. It was weird. It was during the film, I was just watching the screen, eating my popcorn, and then when I left the theater, that's when, my walk to my car, and then I sat in my car for, 20 minutes, just sitting there, reflecting, and I drove home, in silence for a while, and I started listening to, a Talk album that's pretty depressing, and I was, walking home shirtless. It was, I was reflecting on the film, but it wasn't, I don't know, I don't even know why. I guess it was, kind of the closing dual monologues. But I don't know, it did something for me which was counterintuitive to the rest of the film. I think I connected with Greg.
That's definitely I texted you about this right when I got at my screening, and I told you I have no idea how I'm going to review this. And I still have no idea really what to make of it, because this movie, it both connected with me while simultaneously just really annoyed the crap out of me in a weird way.
I'm guessing the connection is the film.
Well, let me put it this way. For almost every high school coming-of-age movie specifically, for the ones that you like, you relate to them in a positive way. They make you feel good about high school and about who you are now. They make you feel happy when you leave them, right?
Yeah.
You connect with them in a way. This is no, this was I did connect with it, but it reminded me of all the parts of myself that I just kind of hated, specifically with Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, I'm kind of ashamed to say that I really identified with Greg in an obnoxious way. He, especially at the beginning of the movie when he's coming back from summer and he's just walking around, saying
what
like,
is
the cool
summer?
thing, like,
Was it
more
more
some?
some?
Like, I was just like,
I felt like I would make that joke.
I wanted to punch this kid in the face, and then a few seconds later, I'm like, you know what? I've said stupid shit like that quite a lot. It's like, so I did relate to him. I'm not sure if for the movie it's not really a criticism for the movie. It's just my experience with it. I guess that is to the movie's credit, is that it made me remember a part of myself that, may not necessarily be good, but I was able to reflect on that.
This film has a really weird tone. What I thought was most notable about it, because it is a coming-of-age film, but it's unlike the majority of them. If I had to compare it to some, it would be along the lines of like The Graduate or Harold and Maude. It's very left of center, and not in the, it's an indie film, but more in, this isn't the norm. This isn't what the average teenager is going through. And it does it really effective. And yeah, it has like those Wes Anderson-esque claymation / stop motion stuff. It's very quirky at times, and then it's like it touches home. But what I thought was weird, it tries a little too hard in trying to get that audience. I think
I'm not
like, it still has a good heart, but it's like it wears its artsiness on its sleeve.
Yeah, which is weird because it's both a good thing and a bad thing. Like, this is two different movies for me. It's this really weird, quirky comedy that I just, I couldn't laugh at. My audience did, but it really just did not work with my sense of humor. And then there's this very dramatic cancer movie, which is very moving and very effective. But, it's weird too, because I like the home movies that they make. A lot of that stuff I found funny, and then
I would have loved to have seen all of them.
I want to say it's kind of like, you felt that Dope was kind of all over the place, and I felt it was excessive, but it all sort of came together well for me. Here, I really felt that disconnect. I walked away and I felt very moved, more so than you, I guess, because this worked way better for me than Inside Out did. But yeah, just thinking about it later, it really doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't come together well, because if I'm feeling for half the movie, I'm just kind of pissed off and annoyed at it, and then I'm, very emotionally moved by it. It's very. I don't know what that means. I still don't fully know how to articulate how I feel about this movie.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I said, when I left the theater, it was less about how the film made me feel, but more so just self-reflection. I was thinking about like what the characters are saying towards the end, and how I've had like similar kinds of conversations, and it too Greg reminded me of myself. Some of the worst parts and some of the better parts, like some ambitions, and that's usually the strong part in art. Like I usually tell people, I love Dawson's Creek, and the reason is that Dawson loves films and he wants to be a filmmaker, and so Greg has that same drive. But yet he's a slacker.
Yeah.
And I connect with that. It's like, well, I want to do these things, but I'm not unique. My friend, I'm not going to tell my friends about it.
He doesn't really have any positive comments whatsoever. He does it, but it's all self-loathing, which I realize, unfortunately, I can relate to that. I've made a bunch of stuff that I think is very stupid.
Hate
I just don't want anybody. Yeah, I fucking hate that.
Oh yeah, so it's making these films in the film to move. It's still a film about filmmaking at a very low level, and yeah, it kind of not harkens, but it's trying to attract the Criterion people.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of weird for high school seniors.
Today I could buy that because the
internet.
I've known about Criterion, ever since middle school. Like that was through Kevin Smith, but now I think through the internet, especially through Facebook, like. And with the hipster generation, like Criterion's just gotten much more broader and more accessible to a very specific type of audience that, people in high school are being exposed to now.
These characters, Earl and Greg, they aren't those guys. As far as the audience knows, they're not even on Facebook.
Oh, well, I guess you just kind of, I expect it to be, that's the world that we live in today. Everyone's got Facebook. Everyone's pretty much they're using social media in some way where they're in the know. So, they at least know what Facebook is. This is 2015 now, so.
These kids are basically loners, though. They spend their lunchtime in their history teacher's office, which I connected with because in my senior year of high school, I did that a lot. But I wasn't necessarily a loner. It was just I enjoyed the conversation. But it seems like that's the opposite for them.
Well, yeah,
they
but
don't
I mean,
like any of
even
their peers, or at least Greg, he pretends to.
like, how many Facebook friends do you have? Like, I'm guessing it's way in the hundreds. Like, it's just a bunch of acquaintances, right? And some of those are probably loners.
Yeah, deep hundreds.
Some that you knew in high school or even in college.
Maybe.
You know, like people that you just kind of just colleagues that you kind of know, and you're just friends with them just to see what they're up to. That's probably because you graduated in 2009, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 6 years ago. A bunch of things have changed since then. So, I mean, I could definitely buy that.
No, I didn't have a problem with that.
I mean, it's
in terms of where they are, like, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. It was just, I felt, because they did a pretty good background on it. You got Greg's dad, you got him, being the psychologist or whatever, and introducing his kid and Earl to these weird foods. And they have that line, that narration. It's like, oh, we were always into the things that no one else was into. And that's why we like these movies. Which I bought. Like, it totally makes sense because, like I said, like you and I were probably in a similar category, and it works for the film. But I'm not sure what kind of audience they're going for, because if you just look at this from a purely surface level, it seems like Fault in Our Stars. And someone asked me earlier in the day before I saw it, like, "Oh, is that like?" As I told them the synopsis, they're like, "Oh, so it's like Fault in Our Stars?" I was like, "No." I mean, I can't readily say that because I haven't seen it. All I know is that it's a drama, a high school drama about cancer.
Well, no, this is more like, the Fault in Our
indie
Stars.
version.
It's the indie version. It's the, I guess it's the Juno version, if that's even what I want to say. Just in that, I mean, okay, it's art house. It's aiming for a very specific crowd. It's probably not going to have the unexpected success that Juno had, or maybe it will because it is very emotionally effective at the end, and that might get around.
I don't think so. Juno is very not ideal, but it was zeitgeist. Like, it represented
unique
that
at the time.
culture. Yeah, it is. I'd still say it is. It got that culture pretty well. That angsty coming of age. I don't know what I want in my life. I'm pregnant, but I want to fuck my adoptee's father. Yeah, it doesn't have that. And that could be the directing, or I don't know. Speaking of which, the camera work, probably the best part about this whole film, and that's a problem because I found myself going, "Oh, that's a nice camera technique," or "That's a cool pan," or "That's a good one shot," and I wasn't even paying attention to the characters.
I was glad that I at least had that to click with because I couldn't connect with at all the quirky comedy at all. It really does feel like closer to a Wes Anderson, influence.
Yeah.
It's not perfect composition like that, but it's pretty close to that.
Especially that one scene where Earl, Greg, and Rachel, they're all in her room for the first time, and it does those quick pans to each other, and then there was a mirror shot that was really good, where Earl's in the mirror and then Greg's in the foreground, and then it would do that quick, and you got the sense of motion, it had a motion blur in it, and it was really good, and it could have been a single take, and it probably was. There was a lot of them in the film, but there I remember when the high school is introduced, and you have that really high overhead shot, that tracking shot through the hallways. I don't know. I'm sure for the average film goer, it's just it's gonna go over their head, but when it was literally going overhead, it was stuck in mind.
Yeah, well, it is a Fox Searchlight flick. It's not exactly trying to reach the broadest audience possible, and that's pretty much who it's going to work for, is that crowd that wants to see those movies during the summer, and we get them every year.
I didn't mention this. I want to see what your take on this. Their films, Criterion Collages, the one-word off films, it kind of reminded me of the Be Kind Rewind Swedes.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think of that, but yeah,
it did. It's very.
As far as
close.
Criterion, though, I was disappointed that one movie never ever got mentioned, and every time,
what?
do you see those videos when that Criterion's puts up where they got someone going in the closet
and they pick
to
out
get
their
something?
favorite ones?
Yeah, I'm disappointed that I never ever ever see Armageddon get a mention.
Well, it's because it's technically not Criterion anymore.
Yeah, no, it's still in print.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're still in print. Someone has to mention Armageddon and Criterion.
These are the kind of kids that have never seen Armageddon, okay, because they're above it. That's definitely them. Well, maybe not Earl, but Greg 100%.
Just one time.
He has a 400 Blows poster above his bed. Like, do you really think he's interested in Michael Bay?
Hey, I got a Super 8 poster next to a poster of The Seventh Seal.
I still haven't seen
Then
The
again,
Seventh
I
Seal.
don't know. I have much more diverse film taste than I guess most people do.
Yeah, I still haven't seen The Seventh Seal. I rented it from a library once. I put it on. I fell asleep.
Yeah, you really got to be in the mood for
Yeah,
that.
I was like, maybe that's a sign.
Yeah, I guess I think in the end it all works out. I couldn't help but feel very moved at the end and feel that the movie was worth my time. And it's only thinking about it now that I see that I got maybe some of my own personal issues with it that got nothing to do with the movie at all. And for the first half, even though I didn't really like the humor, it was working out there for somebody. So, clearly there is something there. But it's a very strange experience for me watching this movie that I just cannot fully articulate. But nonetheless, I do feel it's worth checking out. And I'm pretty sure someone's going to get something out of it.
I think that's one of the most important things about film. It's not necessarily about the ones that you connect with or the ones that make you feel a certain way. The ones that leave a lasting impression, even if you're not sure what it was. I think the last time I had a similar experience like this one was when I saw The Canyons, which I don't recommend to anyone. Not a good movie. But yeah, I feel the same way. I was laughing, especially in the beginning, and so was my audience, even though they were laughing at some really weird stuff, especially when it started getting depressing. I really liked it. It isn't Juno. It's not 500 Days of Summer. It's not going to have that appeal, but it does a lot of things right. If you're interested in films, especially things that are critically acclaimed or foreign, it's going to be right up your alley. It's a good time, even when it's sad. It's not necessarily a coming-of-age story, but you will grow while watching it. It does a lot of things better than Dope. Dope's more fun. Most importantly, the narrative. I think when we did the Dope review, I said that it needed one of those narrations that works in the film. It 100% works here because the whole thing is, Greg speaking to the audience makes sense because he's writing an essay the entire film.
Yeah, this is something I completely forgot that is really... I feel like I was sort of narratively cheated and completely manipulated. Greg is not at all a reliable narrator, and he's very aware that he is, which just makes it frustrating because he knows that he's lying to us on purpose. So that's why I can't help but be moved by the movie and yet want to punch it in the face at the same time. It's probably a knock against the movie because it's being aware that you're being manipulated to your face.
Yeah, it's a self-aware movie, but it's not meta, which is it's a hard line to balance on, but I think it does a fairly good job. If the trailer looks interesting to you, if you want to see another Sundance favorite, you have a girlfriend or someone who's terminally ill, recommend this film. I'd buy it for $1.
I will definitely say that trailer, it is a pretty good representation of what that movie is going to be in 2.5 minutes. So yeah, if it does look like it's up your alley, then by all means check it out.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. I hope it's been a pleasure. If you enjoyed it, you can find us online. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis. That's BryonGillis. And also on this lovely site called Letterboxd, where I rate my films that I watch on an almost daily basis, my personal film diary, and I also write the occasional review.
You can find me on Twitter as well at S_MTX. And I'm also on Letterboxd. My username there is S_MTX. There I log everything I watch and sometimes write brief reviews.
You can find updates and when our podcasts go live on Twitter at $Reviews. And if you'd like to send us some hate mail, if you loved what we said, you'd like to contribute some talking points, or you just like to laugh at us, you can send us an email at $.review@gmail.com.
And since we don't know where you're listening from, you can find our recent reviews on iTunes just by searching $Reviews. We're also on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/$Reviews. And if you're sad that you missed a review and you can't find it on either of those platforms, our entire archive is available at youtube.com/$Review. Once again, that's $Review, one word, no S.
Until next time, keep the change.